Hi, everybody. Crafting Journey here. That Journey chick on Instagram. Welcome. Yeah, I'm wearing a sling. Yes, if in case you missed it, I took a little tumble on what's today? Wednesday. Hey, guys, don't tear my curtains up. They're in rare form this morning. The kitties got my coffee. Um, I'm going to go to work today. I didn't go to work yesterday. I am actually feeling much better. Oh, these guys. My shoulder still hurts, but not as bad as it did the first couple of days. So I'm going to wear this thing like today and over the weekend, and then I'm cured. I'm sure of it. Because I got crafting to do, right? I can't even. Yesterday, I was literally, I was doing all the ABs in this painting here. Yeah. I was doing ABs. Left-handed. Yeah. So I was doing that. I did a short live, and then I went over and went on Trevor's live for a little while. If you happen, he erases his lives. He doesn't save them. I try to convince him to save the lives, but he doesn't. So in any case, if you have to catch him live, I'm usually there with him because he's my buddy. He's like my little brother. I feel very protective of Trevor. I love Trevor. Anyway, um, how are we going? What's all right? I'm just trying to think. Okay, we always start. My mind is journal, planner. Oh, I can't write in it anyway, so we're not going to do the planner right now because what am I going to do at work? I think I can, like, if I put the keyboard down here on my lap, I can I can type. See, I can even move my fingers. The problem is, see, it doesn't hurt with that when it's not hurting when I have it in the sling. But when I try to lift my shoulder, yeah, the pain comes back. Um, Getting dressed was quite a feat this morning. Well, my sister's sound asleep, so I'm not bothering her. But yeah, putting the bra on, not such an easy task. Anyway, I, yeah, well, whatever. So today is National Bosses Day. Woohoo! I wonder if there's a sticker I can put in the planner for the woman takes a fall. I'll take a sticker and I'll put her upside down. Yeah, that's the day I fell. Let's do that. Hold on. Hold on. Because we have to commemorate that day for for years down the line when I started having issues with that. Let's pick up one of the girls here. We'll pick the sad girl. The sad girl. Oh, come on. It's going to be quite the day, isn't it? Come on, sticker. Okay, let's see. So we're just going to put her on her side. Come on. It happened on Wednesday, and we're just going to do this. That's the day she fell. There. She's laying sideways. That's the best I could do. Anyway, what does it say in this journal, this planner for this week? Maybe I should have read this one first before I started my week the other day. Let's see. Uh, Hold on. Today is the 15th, Friday. Is it the 15th? Already the month is half gone. It says, you are the shit. Look. You are the shit. Okay. That's my fuck this shit planner. I love that thing. It's very funny. Okay. National Bosses Day. I didn't do anything for my boss. Now, I know there were like plans going around that, oh, my chin itches. How come? There were plans going around to get our boss something, but I never heard the finality of it. I'm going to see. I'm sure they did something and they just didn't tell me, which happens a lot. I'm not in the clique at work. you know, nor do I care. So, but uh, I don't know. I don't know if they did or not. We'll see. If they did, I'll see if I can contribute. Anyway, I'll wish my boss a happy boss's day. Yeah. Anyway, if you have a boss, this is the day to make them feel good about themselves, pump them up, be nice to them. Maybe, buy them breakfast, buy them a cup of coffee. My boss doesn't drink coffee. I'll buy her a Sonic. Um, ooh, that's a great idea. I'm going to tell her I'll buy her a Sonic on the way to work today. Yes. I think she likes Coke Zero. I think. I'll find out. Anyway, just make sure if you've got a boss, you say something today. Don't forget to say something or you could be in the doghouse. Yep. All right, let's talk a little bit about judge, jury, and journey. I'm going kind of quickly today because I'm running a little late. It took me a little bit it took me a little bit longer to get dressed this morning and to get out of bed. Just being honest. I tell you what, that Flexeril is great stuff. All right, I digress. So we were on the verdict watch for the Mark Ghost trial. Mark Ghost trial, he was the gentleman who was charged with 2 felonies and a misdemeanor. The first felony was kidnapping of Sasha Krause, the Mennonite girl. He was in the Air Force. He took a little day trip and decided to kidnap somebody. So he kidnapped her. And then the second count was murder because he murdered her. And the third count was a misdemeanor theft count where he stole her hat and her panties. Now, I didn't think they ever proved that to my satisfaction, but whatever. So the 2 felony counts go to the jury, and the judge says, I'll decide the misdemeanor count. Because you don't need a jury to decide a misdemeanor. So they deliberated last Friday for 3.5 hours, and then they had Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday off. So Wednesday they came back, and I said I would bring you the verdict live. I'm glad that I didn't because the guy forgot to turn on the sound. The cameraman we could see what was going on. We could see the bailiff go get the verdict from the jury and hand it to the judge, and the judge hands it to the clerk to read. We couldn't hear any of that. So it was around 2 in the afternoon, I guess. So they didn't need too much more deliberations. So the sound comes on when she's thanking the jury for their service and excusing them out of the room. But by what she was saying, you could tell that they had found him guilty of the kidnapping. They found him guilty of the murder. And then the judge says, well, I'm going to decide the misdemeanor. Do you guys have anything to say? Do you have any arguments you want to make? And they're like, nah, we'll stick with the trial record. And she says, well, based on the record of the trial, I find you guilty of the misdemeanor too. Okay. It's kind of a big so what because he's going to get life in prison anyway. Apparently they don't have the death penalty in Arizona. So sentencing is set for late November. Now my nose itches. Somebody's talking about me. Boy, these cats, they're going 100 miles an hour today. There they go. Ready? Here goes Stitch. There he is. He's trying to ambush Pearl. He's going to go under his rug. Oh, he's so funny. Watch. Here comes Pearl. Here comes Pearl. She's like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. And they're playing with a dinosaur as well. Anyway, they're so cute. This is their favorite room in the house. I'm in the other part of the house yesterday. I'm like, where are they? And they're like in the craft room, playing in the craft room with their dinosaur. And ow, that hurt. Hurt to look around. Anyway, the pain is like up in here, all in the back of my arm and my shoulder. Because I think when I fell, I landed like on my hands, and My knees don't hurt. They're very bruised, but they don't hurt. Okay, enough about me. All right. So we are still picking a jury in the Markeith Lloyd trial that I would like to bring you. I think they anticipate starting on Tuesday. Let's hope, because you guys are probably getting tired of hearing my crime stories, but I have one for you today. I have another one for you from Alaska, and I think the town is called Wassa. I could be wrong about that, but anyway, this family, they've been living in Alaska since 1971. The father moved to the Alaska in 1971 with his wife. They were raising 6 children. The oldest girl, her name was Amy Patrick, and she graduated from high school. She had a job. She's working at this restaurant as a hostess. She's working 5, 6 days a week. And she was also house sitting for this couple. They weren't, they would go out of town quite a bit, and then they would call her and say, "Can you house sit for us?" And she's like, "Sure, I'd love to." So on Saturday night, her family sees her. She's at their house, and they see her, and she's stopping by to say hi and get some things, and then she's going over to the where she's house sitting. So she heads over there. That's the last time the family sees her. On Sunday, she goes to work. After work, she comes home. She's on the phone with her boyfriend, and who knows what happened after that. So Monday comes, and she doesn't show up for work. So they call the dad, and they say to the dad, she didn't show up for work, and that's not really like her. And he's like, "Oh, I know she's house sitting. Let me go and check on her." So he goes to where she is, to the house where she's house sitting, and her car is there. And he's like, she wouldn't go anywhere without her car. So he's knocking on the door. There's no answer. She's not there. So he calls the police. She doesn't show up for work on Tuesday. They start searching for her. The the father gets his employer. They very generously donate all of these flyers, the money to make all these flyers. They are putting flyers all over town. They are doing ground searches, and she is just nowhere to be found. So these 3 state troopers, they get together, and they're like, "We're going to figure this out. This is really important." Um, so they 2 of the state troopers decide, we're going to go up to this house and we're going to investigate. So they go to the house. They find that she had some laundry on the floor of the bedroom where she had been staying. In the bathroom, she had an open package of birth control pills. Nothing unusual. In the kitchen, there was a half-eaten plate of food. So when they interview the boyfriend, he says, "Yeah, I was on the phone with her about 7 o'clock on Sunday night, and she told me, 'Hey, Mike's at the door. Hold on a minute.'" So he holds on for like 20 minutes. Now, this is not a cell phone. It's a house phone. And he says after about 20 minutes, the phone goes dead. And he didn't think anything of it, because that's kind of, she's done this before to him, puts the phone down and then just doesn't come back. But he doesn't hear anything unusual on his end. So now it turns out Mike is the son of the people who own this house. He works at what they call the North, I want to call it the North Pole. They call it the North face, the North face. I don't know, but it's like 400 miles away where he works. But what happens is the workers that are working up there, they'll do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. But anyway, he was moving back home. So apparently, they decided, we're going to interview this guy. So they interview him. They actually fly up to where he is working in the North Pole. I don't know what else to call it. I forget what they call it. So they go up, they interview him, and they're the troopers, and one of them is very, very skilled at interviewing, and he says, "Yeah, I went by on Saturday with my friend Yoon. He had Yoon was a friend of his that he met when they were both working at this chemist plant. So Yoon decides he's going to go with him. So they go to her house, or where she's house sitting. She lets him in and they bring in his stuff. He gets on a plane and goes back to Alaska first thing Sunday morning. Or back to the North Pole on Sunday morning. And there's proof of that. So he's alibied out. The boyfriend is alibied out because his family says, yeah, he was home that whole evening. He made the phone call. He was home the entire evening. So he's alibied out. So they then, when they were interviewing this gentleman up at the North Pole, he said, my friend went with me. And, they're talking about his friend. So then they turn their investigation towards this friend. And what they do is they have Mike fly back from the North Pole, and they put a wire on him and they send him into this restaurant, the Village Inn. We have Village Inns here. So it must be a chain. So they send him into the Village Inn. He's wired. And this guy is not saying nothing. He's like, listen, I'm on the hook for this. They're going to charge me with this. You got to help me out. If you got anything to do with this, you got to help me out, man. I'm going to be in big trouble. And the guy's not buying it. He's like, what do you want me to say? He's not saying a word, not a word. So then they decide they're going to interview Yoon, whatever his name is. They're going to interview him. So, like I said, this guy is very skilled at interviewing, and he's denying. He's like, nope, I don't have anything to do with this. I went there Saturday. I never went back there. So eventually they wear him down, and he says, well, I did have this dream. And the guy's saying, well, you had a dream? Well, what happened? Close your eyes and tell me what happens in your dream. So the guy closes his eyes and he starts talking about the murder. He said he went there on Sunday evening. And that it was his car that they had gone there with on Saturday. So it's likely that when she was on the phone with her boyfriend, she saw this car in the driveway. She thought, oh, there's Mike again. But it was actually Zoon's car. So Zoon comes in. She opens the door. She lets him in. He takes ether, pours it on a cloth, and, smothers her with it, and she passes out. So he carries her out to his vehicle, and then he drives her through Alaska, through this town, and there's a road that goes off the road. And he takes her there and he dumps her body there. So they're like, oh, okay, so now they're no longer in this dream. Like, this is for real. And they're like, can you take us to the body? He's like, yeah, I can take you to the body. So he takes them to where this body is. And there's no body there. And they're like, wait a minute. You said He's like, yeah, well, here's what happened. He's like, I decided I would, when I got home, I thought, oh, somebody's going to see her there. So I grabbed a bunch of garbage bags and I went back out and I covered her with garbage bags. Then he goes back home because he's got classes the next day. So he goes back home, sleeps that night, goes to his class the next day. Then he goes back to where he dumped the body, picks her up, puts her in the trunk of his car, and takes her across the street. There's a landfill, and he takes her to the landfill and dumps her in a dumpster. So they arrest him. They call the prosecutor, and the prosecutor says, oh, please arrest his ass. So they arrest him. So at his arraignment the next day, that's where you go in front of the judge and you plead guilty or not guilty. So at his arraignment, he pleads not guilty, and he holds his hand up to the side, and written on his hand, it says, I didn't use ether, but you were really loving that story, weren't you? Instead, he used chloroform. But as soon as he holds his hands up and he pulls his hand back down, he passes out cold on the floor. They call an ambulance. They rush him to the hospital. They figure out he had taken arsenic. Arsenic, yeah. So just to backtrack a bit, when they were interviewing him, that's when they placed him under arrest. After, before they go to find the body, they put him under arrest. and and he's like, "Hey, can I go get my jacket?" And the place where they were interviewing him, there was no way that he could escape. So they said, "Yeah, go get your jacket." So he goes and gets his jacket, and then they proceed to go see where the body is. Well, they find out in the hospital that he's ingested this arsenic. So they figure out that he had hidden, when he went to get his jacket, he took some arsenic and hid it in his sock and took the arsenic, and he dies 2 days later in the hospital. He doesn't survive this. Now, how weird is that? That's the crazy ending to that story. So it's not really the ending. The ending is that these three troopers, bless their souls, they went through. This was a massive landfill. They kind of narrowed down where her body could be to about a football field size area. And they started going through it. And they went through it for 2 weeks, 12 hours a day. Couldn't find her. To the point where the police chief, the state trooper, head of the state trooper says, "We're done. We're not searching anymore. We've used enough manpower. We're not going to search anymore for this girl. It, we may never find her." So one of the troopers had promised the father, "I am going to bring her back to you." So he felt terrible. So he takes his own time and he goes out there the next day. Him and another one of the troopers, they go out there the next day on their own dime, and they start searching. And lo and behold, about 1 o'clock, they find her body. So by then she was just bones. They return her body to the father. He has a funeral, and the three troopers that did this whole investigation, he asked them to be the pallbearers for his daughter. How sweet is that? Anyway, that's the good ending to a really horrible story. Yeah, I know. It's terrible. So I want to talk to you about this day in history. I hope you guys are enjoying these crime stories from Alaska. I could do another Alaska one, or we could go to a different place. Let's go to a different place tonight. How about that? For Monday, we'll go to if maybe I'll do a show tomorrow. We'll see. This thing's kind of hindering me, but we'll see. Um, if you're enjoying this, please don't forget to hit the like button, and then take him to Sonic. Promise him a cherry slushy, and then just get him a 7-Up. Yeah. Subscribe. If you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss another one of my pop-up lives like yesterday or anytime I upload a video. So, yeah, let's talk about this day in history. Okay. What's my code? I have to break into what is my code? All right. So today I'm going to talk to you about the H.L. Hunley. This was one of the first submarines. This was October 15th, 1863. This Hunley ship, I think it was just cursed. They made this submarine out of a cylinder boiler, and it would operate with a crew of 8. One person would navigate would steer, and the other 7 people would turn the crank to drive the ship. And the idea that they had was this would be a great way to torpedo other ships that were in the North Carolina harbor. So the Hunley could dive, but apparently it couldn't come back up for some reason. But they did test it successfully in Alabama's Mobile Bay. So then they decided it was successfully tested. So then they had it taken through rail, on a rail to North Carolina, where they put it in, South Carolina, where they put it in the Charleston harbor. So they decide they're going to do a test run, and one of the crew members gets tangled up in the cylinder, and they can't get the hatch open, and it was just a big disaster. Only 2 people survived that particular event. Then they try again. They raised it, they repaired it, and then they try to go again. And nobody wants to go. They're like, "No, I don't volunteer as tribute here. Nope." But the inventor says, okay, I will go. That's how confident I am that we've repaired this thing. I'm going to go. So he takes 7 people and they go. And it sinks and they all die. So they raise it again and they fix it again. And now really nobody wants to go on this thing. But they do find a crew. Um, the day that they're going to test this thing out is February 17th, 1864. They headed out of the Charleston harbor and they torpedoed a Yankee ship successfully. The ship sank. That's the way it was supposed to be. Now the submarine turns around to go back to the harbor and it sinks and everybody dies. So they raised this thing up and they never used it again. It was just doomed. So because I imagine nobody wants to be on this ship again. It's actually an exhibit in Charleston. If you ever want to go by and see it, it's called the Hunley. Yeah, terrible story, isn't it? Terrible story. The H.L. Hunley. If you're ever in Charleston, that's a place to visit. The H.L. Hunley. Oh, my shoulder hurts. Anyway. I was talking very quickly today during the show, and I do apologize because I got to get to work. Gotta go to work, and it's already 8:15. I love you all. Maybe I'll do a little drive on the way to work. A drive live. How about that? A drive live? Yeah. Bye, everybody. Take care.